Gareth Southgate. Simon, what do you think this morning? Do you think a few apologies are required to Gareth?
For what?
Well, I mean, it wasn't that long ago you were talking about him as four-leaf clover boy, an average manager.
Yeah. So what?
What do you mean, what? 2 consecutive Euros finals, that's what?
So in context, having the most wonderful draws in every single tournament that he's been in is the qualification behind saying four-leaf clover boy. Being an average manager, I think there's a fair assessment that a lot of the decisions that Gareth has made over the tournaments that we've been in have detailed.
What's average about 2 Euros finals?
Well, when you get an opportunity to win things, when you have draws that we've had in the past, and you can only beat what's in front of you. There's no criticism of beating what's in front of you. But if you get Serbia, Denmark, Slovenia, Slovakia, and Switzerland, and a very average Dutch side as your passage to a final, every manager in the world of international football of a significant nation would say, I'll have that all day.
But if England win on Sunday, are we witnessing the biggest managerial vindication of all time?
If he wins it on Sunday, every accusation that's been made about him in games when we played the Croatians, the Italians, and the French will be overcome by beating, on paper and in recent performances in this tournament, a side that England aren't expected to beat. I would suggest in yesterday's games, despite the fact that the seeding had slightly given Holland a preferential position in front of England, that on the balance of probability, it was probably a 55-45 game in favour of England. Now, on Sunday, it will be, I suspect, 60-40 in favour of the Spanish. If he overcomes the Spanish, every argument that everybody has said about his inability when it comes to opposition that England on paper and on form don't beat, if he does that, that's it. Vindicated, validation, he's gone to the tournament, he set out to win the tournament, they've won the tournament. And no one can say anything else. All the style of play processes, which have all been fair and critical observation. A critical observation isn't criticism, it's a critical observation. No one can say against the Serbs, the Danes, the Slovenians, the Slovakians, and at times the Swiss, England played particularly well. They got the job done. And people critiquing that is not the same as saying somebody's ugly or stupid or taking exception of things that are unfair.
Rennie, let's hear from Gareth Southgate, because they have got another Euros final. He spoke to Faye Carruthers post-match and he summed up the emotion inside the England dressing room.
Your second final in a row. You looked quite emotional when you were stood there about to do your interviews a moment ago. What's going through your head right now?
Well, a lot of things. I mean, firstly, just so proud of the players, the way that they played, the character that they're showing, the togetherness they're showing, because, again, contribution from the bench, players that have been ready. They've all supported each other through, nearly 50-odd days together, and to watch them grow as a group, build resilience as a group, start to show our quality as a group as well. It was an incredible evening. Delighted for everybody at home, because I can imagine how that is at the moment. And then I've got this thing at the back of my mind that we've got Spain on Sunday with a day less to prepare than they have, and we've got. Probably as a coaching team, we've got to start cracking on with that tonight on the way home.
Rennie, I'll come to you and Southgate in a second, but Simon, have England last night finally broken your argument around every time they come up against a good team that they could lose to? They have.
No, I didn't think I never thought for 1 second they'd lose to the Dutch. Not from the first whistle until the last. It wasn't the case of me.
But you accept the Dutch are a good team?
No, they were a decent side, but I didn't think they were a better side than England. I didn't think on paper going into that game England would get beaten by the Dutch. I think there's a distinct possibility they can get beaten by the Spanish. I thought there was a distinct possibility they'd get beaten by the French and by the Italians and by the Croatians, and so they did. This is the first time, if Southgate beats and his team beat Spain in this final on Sunday, it'll be the first time that he's overcome a side, like I said a moment ago, that on paper and on form, England are not picked to beat, not expected to beat.
Simon, if he wins the thing on Sunday, what more is Southgate meant to do?
Yeah, but there is this tendency in the media to demonise things and to lionise them, right? He is not a demon. He's done great things for England and produced a side that's got to finals and semi-finals with a group of players that he should have done back in the past, in the 90s, when we got knocked out in certain tournaments, or when we got knocked out in 2002 by who? By Brazil. When we got knocked out in 2006, who by the Portuguese. When we got knocked out in 2010, who by the Germans, a good German side. All of those things play a part. But we have this tendency to go, you're the devil incarnate. No, you're not. You're an average manager. Oh, you're a world beater. No, you're not. You're an average manager. It's neither end of the spectrum. It's in the middle. And what we've got, like the pass, world-class pass from Cole Palmer. No, it wasn't. It was a straightforward slot into Ollie Watkins. What was world-class was Ollie Watkins' finish. Could the defender have done better? Possibly. But the bottom line is that England have done what I think is their job. They've come to the Euros, they've played Serbia, Denmark, they've played Slovenia, Slovakia, and they've played the Swiss. And again, I make the point, and ultimately the Dutch, that on the basis of that, Gareth Southgate should have this team in the final. And he does. So well done for doing your job. I mean, I'm not in the camp of being over sentimental. I'm also in the camp of suggesting that if they win on Sunday, then all the plaudits that will necessarily come will be merited.
And you'll be eating an enormous chunk of humble pie.
Why? Because of what? Because what? Because I said, hang on a second. I said, I'm the only person in this bloody room that said England will get to the final.
Because you've called him average manager.
Because he is an average manager.
You've called him four-leaf clover boy for so long.
But you're not listening.
An average manager won't lift the Euros on Sunday.
Well,
Top elite manager.
Yeah, they will in this instance because he is an average manager. And he has had a situation
if
where...
he wins it on Sunday, he'll still be an average manager
I think
in your
so.
eyes.
Average manager with an exceptional
Is that
group of
right,
players.
Rennie?
I think if you have a poor group of players and a good manager, you won't win anything, or you might get a chance. But ultimately, if you've got an average manager and a good group of players, you will win something. He's got a really good group of players. And I think that if they win on Sunday, he will get the plaudits that he deserves. He'll get his knighthood. He'll get all the things that go with
He's an average manager.
I think he's an average manager.
Rennie, is he an average manager if he wins on Sunday?
Yes, I think so.
Sorry about that, Jim.
I think so. Listen, it's going to be a huge achievement, but I look through, again, the quality of the players, the qualities of the players. And like I said, you look at every game so far and how they got there. And does he get the maximum out of the players that we've got? Do we play a style of football that everybody excites in terms of sometimes when I look at, do I recognise the attacking trends? The trends in build-up, in possession, penetration, the same things like I see, this is going to lead to something. No, it's based on the individual quality of the players that we have. Yes, he deserves the plaudits if you win it. And
if he wins it.
Yes, and it's
because, Rennie, moments ago you said in 20 years from now, no one will forget the Serbia game, the Denmark game, the Slovakia game. The only game they'll remember is the fact that England won the final against Spain. So if he does that, that's why Southgate in England will always be remembered. He'll be immortalised.
He will be. He will be recognised for that. But like we have opinions about, the sort of style of football, whatever the performances that we see, it's an achievement. That's what it is.
Look back on at Alf Ramsey. I mean, so Alf Ramsey manages the England team in 66. In 70, we go to a World Cup where we're 2-0 up against the Germans, we lose 3-2. We get knocked out in 73 against the Poles. He goes and manages Birmingham City and resigns after 24 games, of which 12 he lost. You've got to call things for what they are. In moments, people come through and they achieve things because they have top quality players and circumstances to tell that they can. And in this tournament, if you wanted a draw that can get you to a final, by Christ, you got one.
I don't want to sound like a Southgate apologist. Good God, I'm from Glasgow. But do you not accept, Simon, that Southgate is the most successful manager you've ever had?
Yes.
The most successful England manager in your lifetime that you've ever had.
Statistically, if you look at the outcomes of being in World Cup semi-finals, European Championship finals twice, and ultimately quarter-final. If he loses on Sunday, he'll be the England manager that's lost the most opportunities.
Oh,
flip it on its head, if you want to.
Even I can't believe it. And as for you, Rennie Mullenstein, just because you're sitting beside him and staring at...
No. Look, like I said, again, you have to make a distinctive difference between... It's all about winning, don't get me wrong, and people get recognised for it. But talking about... And when I would say you call Southgate an average manager, I not necessarily say that, but No, but it's more about... Let's have a talk about really great managers. What are great managers?
You work with one.
Yeah, exactly. But if you then go, you look at it on your magnifying glass and say, okay, what has Southgate done in these 8 years? He achieved quarterfinals, semi-finals, and a final, and he's in another final. Achievement, great.
Right.
Now, of all those 8 years, have we sat here and say, listen, England, fantastic players, and they play the best football on this planet? No.
And did they win anything?
Well, we'll find out on Sunday, won't we?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.